Hi everyone! This video is an in-depth tutorial of TimeClick's accrued time system. We're going to break the system down into individual components to give you the foundation you need to really understand and use the accrued time portion of your time clock. Employee accrued time, or time off tracking, can be broken down into four main components: the employee's accrued time bank, accrued time categories that tell the program how much time to add to an employee's accrued time bank at various intervals, such as per pay period, by hour, or annually, closing the pay period, and employees requesting time off and having it approved. To start off, enter admin mode and navigate to the accrued time module. Check the box Enable Accrued Time and click Save. With that enabled, let's jump into the tutorial. Starting with the employee bank. The employee bank is found in the Employees module. Select an employee and go to their Accrued Time tab. At the top, you'll see the Accrued Time balance. This is the most important part of this Accrued Time tab. These amounts are the current amounts this employee has available to take off right now. For example, Darren has 80 vacation hours available to use at this moment. If you need to make any manual changes to these times, mark the box Edit Values and type the correct amount in these fields. When you are setting up accrued time for the first time, you will enter the total amount of time the employee has available as of that day. For example, right now Darren has 0 hours for sick time. If this was the first time I ever set up his sick time and he was supposed to have 8 hours of sick time available to him to take right now, I would type 8 in the box. If I then realized a day later that he really should have had 22 hours of sick time, you would come back here and type 22 in the box. There are some cases where a business starts each year with all employees' banks being 0. If you fall into this category, you can come in here, put 0 in all these boxes, and then as employees accrue time throughout the year, you'll see their time added to this bank. TimeClick will automatically keep a record of any manual changes that are made and can display them on the Accrued Time History report in the Report Center, so you can view every single alteration. This Accrued Time Categories section in this window is only here to tell you what categories the employee is assigned to for adding time to their accrued time bank on a regular or recurring basis. You have the option of changing the category the employee is assigned to here, but that's about it for this section of the Accrued Time tab. If your employee does not accrue time, or in other words, they only ever receive a certain amount of time at the beginning of the year, and that's all they ever get during the entire year, you don't have to do anything whatsoever with these accrued time categories. When you're finished with the accrued time banks, click OK. The second component is the accrued time categories. Again, if your employees don't have time accrue or add to their bank throughout the year, you do not need to set up categories. If this is the case for your company, feel free to skip ahead to closing the pay period or to the portion on requesting and approving time off. To set up categories, if you're using them, go to the Accrued Time module. In the Accrued Time Settings tab, click the Select a Category dropdown. Select Create a New Category and select the type, or how often their time accrues, from hourly, pay period, or annually. Set the amount of time this employee will accrue in that category. You can either use the default name for this category or give it a custom name. Any name works as long as you know what it's referring to. I will rename this category Vacation Hourly 3 Years. Enter a description if you want one, and select Create Category. You can create as many categories as needed to fit the individual circumstances of your employees, and they can be edited and updated later. To update categories, you would come here, select the category, edit the info, and click Update Category. Selecting an employee's name on the right allows you to assign them to rates or categories. Here, I will select the drop-down under Vacation and choose Vacation Hourly 3 Years, which I just created. Follow this same process for sick and paid time off or PTO if you use those categories, and repeat these steps for all eligible employees. Then click Update Employee. The initial setup for accruing times is now complete. At this point, employees can begin requesting time off. Most of what the manager or admin needs to do is approve or deny requests and close pay periods if they are accruing time. To close a pay period, go to the End of Pay Period tab in the Accrued Time module. Here are some important things to remember about closing pay periods in TimeClick that will make this a bit easier. If you never have any employee who will ever accrue time and you have absolutely no category set up, you don't have to worry about closing pay periods. If you do have employees accruing time, none of their time from the categories will add to their accrued time bank unless you come here to the End of Pay Period tab and close the pay period. When you generate the report in the End of Pay Period tab, you will be viewing times and accrued time amounts for that particular date range, so we recommend keeping on top of closing the period every pay period. When an employee requests time off and it's approved, it's immediately withdrawn from the bank even if they haven't taken the time off yet. For example, I could request a vacation day next month and have it deducted from my remaining balance, just like withdrawing cash from a bank account shows the deduction from the account immediately even though I haven't spent the cash yet. This means the pay period doesn't have to be closed for deductions to apply, only the automatic additions to the accrued time. That said, when you look at this calendar, days that are red have not been closed, green days have been closed and cannot be closed again. With the date range for my pay period selected, I'll click Generate Report. On the right side of the window, the report will run, showing me the information for the period. I have the number of hours the employee worked, how much time they will have added to their bank according to the category I assigned them, what their bank looks like as of the time I'm closing the period, and what their updated bank will be as soon as I click this Close Pay Period button. This report also shows you the other time actions that were used this period. Time actions awarded don't influence the accrued time bank. It's just there for your reference. Accrued time deducted will show you the amount of time an employee requested and had approved, so it was deducted from their bank. Before closing the period, I'm going to check through everyone's times and make sure they look correct, fix any clock action errors, and then close the pay period. I'll get a confirmation it was closed and we're good to go for that period. The final component is employees requesting time off. For them to send you a time off request, they'll launch their employee options and select Submit Time Request to Admin. When they fill in the request and send it to you, you'll first see it in the dashboard messages where you could click Approve or Deny. Once you approve it, it is automatically deducted from their bank and added to the report. If you don't approve or deny an action in the messages, you may also do so in the Accrued Time module in the Deduction Approval tab. This tab will show you any requests that are still open and any that were approved or denied on each day. And there you have the setup and function of TimeClick's Accrued Time system. If you have any questions, feel free to contact our support team.